Hey, how's it going, the internet? Quick little announcement at the beginning. I'm doing this alone. So unprofessional movie reviews by myself, and if you guys hear anything, it's because I don't know. I have thin walls in the apartment, and my wife is watching Friends. So if you hear anything coming from the walls, it's Friends. Hello, the internet. Welcome to Professional Movie Reviews. My name is Mark, or wherever I end up putting my name. It's the only editing I do. I don't work hard on these films at all. I'm reviewing War for the Planet of the Apes. It is the third movie in the new Planet of the Apes trilogy, I guess, now. Unless they do another one, then it won't be a trilogy anymore. It would be 4G. I don't know. 4G? Be a 4G. Alright, so, just so you know, if you hear scratching at a door, it's my cat trying to get in. I asked my wife to pet him, so he didn't, but I guess he was mean, so she let go of him. Anyways, I'm just guessing. Alright, let's do this. Let's review War for the Planet of the Apes. First, if you have not subscribed to this channel and you want to see me and sometimes another guy named Billy rant about movies, click subscribe. And also click like if you like this. Believe it or not, likes mean a lot. Also share this. Man, it would be nice to get more than like 19 views one day, you know? It would be cool. And I know like 3 of them are me. Alright, anyways, enough of that sad self-deprecation. The way I usually do this is I'm going to do a little non-spoilery synopsis, and then I'm going to talk about my negatives, and then I'm going to talk about my positives, and I'm going to give it a tailorized review between 0 and 10. Here we go. This is the third one of the franchise. So the first one was Rise, and then the second one was Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and that was the first time that Matt Reeves came to direct, and this one's also directed by Matt Reeves. It's called War for the Planet of the Apes. I feel like it's a little misleading. There isn't really a war going on. It says that there's been a war for a while, but I mean, this movie's kind of got less action than the other ones, actually. There isn't really giant, huge battles like what we see, or at least one huge battle. There's a couple little action set pieces, but this is mostly a character-driven, and I'll get into that more, but little non-spoiler synopsis. The Colonel, who's a human, is trying to take out the apes, and he's a little messed up, and he's played by Woody Harrelson, and he kind of really messes with Caesar. Caesar kind of goes on a personal mission to take him down. That's kind of it. That's a non-spoiler synopsis. I'm trying not to drop spoilers. I might a little bit when I'm getting in my negatives and positives. Let's do it. Negatives. Negatives. This movie's a little predictable. It's the first thing I'm going to say about it. A little predictable. My wife was sitting next to me, my brother was sitting next to me also, and she called, like, a lot of the plot twists, and she's actually pretty good at that, and I'm bad at that, but I think that if she called that many, a lot of other people will be able to see this. This movie, has a lot of predictable stuff to it. Also, I'm going to bring up sound again in my positives. I'm going to try to remember to do that. There's sound seems a little off. And so Andy Serkis plays Caesar yet again for his third. And yes, I'll talk about him in the positives. When it comes to redubbing over his voice, because he's a CGI character, and guess what? They don't have vocal cords. So Andy Serkis has to record all of his vocals, and they have to bring them in and add them in post. Usually overdubbed. I'm assuming all of them he does in a sound booth. I'm assuming. I'm not there. But either way, no matter how far away Caesar is from the camera, he's always about the same volume. And I noticed that right away, and it's a little jarring, and it's noticeable. Kind of like Bane in Dark Knight Rises, where, he's in the middle of an airplane, and, it's loud, and everyone else is like, why do you wear that mask? And he's like, wow! And he's like super loud, and it's like, sounds like he's standing behind you instead of actually. It's not that bad, but that's kind of like what Caesar sounds like at some of this. So, yeah, so it's the dubbing of Caesar's voice, little jarring. Predictable, Caesar's voice. There's some dumb things going on here. Dumb as in, why did that happen other than just because it's written in the script? Examples. And this is a spoiler, and I'm sorry about that, but there's a thing, like a wall, made to protect people, and the wall has like a shit ton of explosives near it and underneath it, so like one little explosion will just blow up the whole wall. I don't think that anyone would make a wall with explosives underneath it. It did make a lot of sense. I'm sure, yeah, it made the story flow easier because they're like, now that wall's taken and we can do this, we can move on. But really, that's kind of dumb. Other negatives, I got a couple other ones. I wish I didn't, but I do. What was I gonna say? Kind of predictable. Walls blown up. I know I got others. I'm blanking. I could just jump right into my positives, but oh yeah, I remember. This movie isn't really that fun, and I know it's not supposed to be. It's a bit of a somber movie. It's a summer blockbuster, and I actually had a little bit more fun with the other two. This movie's really dark. Really dark. And sure, this isn't really a negative. You might really want dark, but it was a little bit too much for me, even. And I'm a dark guy. I'm wearing sunglasses. I'm dark. I got a Ween shirt. That's not dark. But anyways. Alright, we can move on to the positives. I talked about the negatives a lot, especially for a movie I actually liked. I talked about the negatives a little too much. Okay. First thing on the positives. Performances. As I already said, Andy Serkis comes back to just nail it. And guess what? He does. He blows it out of the park like he usually does. And, yeah, that's a good thing. I'm pretty happy with that. Also, a performance that kind of stole the show is Steve Zahn as Bad Ape. You guys might remember Steve Zahn from the 2000s. He hasn't really been in a lot of stuff recently. I think the last time I saw him, I actually heard his voice in The Good Dinosaur as like the bad pterodactyl bad guy. The storm provides. That was probably the last time I saw him, but he played Bad Ape, and yeah, he kind of stole a lot of shows. Little tiny side thing, this might kind of go into a negative with Bad Ape. He's really funny, and there's definitely scenes where that's good, and that, again, will add in the fun. That, again, we don't need to have a lot of fun, but just a little bit of fun would be nice. His comedy kind of adds in a little bit of the little bit of fun that's there, and the small negatives is we don't need a comic relief in serious moments, and they kind of do that. There's a couple moments where it's like, holy shit, crazy stuff's going on, and he's like, I'm gonna make a joke. I'm an ape. I'm a bad ape. Ugh. But the Bad Ape character was pretty great, and I don't know, I really like that character. So Steve Zahn, good job. Woody Harrelson as the Colonel, the bad guy. A negative I've had with the other Ape movies is kind of the bad guys. Even Koba from the second one, he kind of turned into a mustache-twirling villain. And even Gary Oldman didn't really have much going on, and then his plan at the end was kind of super stupid. So I didn't really like the villains or even the human characters. Besides, like, James Franco? that his name? Franco. Besides Franco in the first one, and maybe John Lithgow and a couple other people in the first one, the human characters fall to the wayside like crazy. And the main human character in the second one is just so useless. And he's kind of my biggest problem with the second one. So they didn't really have a human protagonist in this, and that's kind of good. They have one human good guy, and I'll get into her in a second. Get into her, that sounds horrible. I'll talk about her in a second. Ugh, I shouldn't have said it that way. That's gross. But Woody Harrelson, on the other hand, does not fall into the category of bad or useless human characters. He actually has a lot of backstory to him. He might be just a little crazy for crazy's sake at some points, but I did really like him. But also, goes without saying, it's Woody frickin' Harrelson. He's definitely one of the more underrated actors and one of the better actors of today. I really like Woody Harrelson, and I'm glad they brought him in. A human character who they brought in for this is a little girl. You might have saw her in the trailers. She goes by the name of Nova. And she was played by Amia Miller. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Amia Miller. Either way, she doesn't really do too much. So her acting she didn't have a lot to her character, but she did what she needed to do. She also looked like the most innocent, lovable human ever. She had these big, giant doe eyes. And way bigger than mine. Mine aren't doe eyes at all. So she kind of looked like she was created in the same lab that Baby Dory was in Finding Dory, of just like, oh my god, she's so cute, I trust her immediately. Yeah, that's kind of what she does. She was fine in it. Her performance was good. Okay, I don't feel like I'm skipping any performances. Moving on. All the motion capture was great. Biggest positive, though, the special effects. The motion capture, the visual effects for the apes, the best they've ever been, and they were good they were fine in the first one, they're really good in the second one. This is some of the best special effects I've ever seen. This looks like they're real fucking apes all the time. I keep forgetting they're not real apes. It's awesome. This is some of the best special effects I've ever seen. I'm going to probably skip over a lot of positives, because there was actually a lot of positives. I did really like this movie. You can't really tell from what I said, all of my negatives, but no, I really did like this movie. There's a lot of symbolism in this movie, and I'm not going to give it away. There's a big Deus Ex Machina at the end, and that Deus Ex Machina is tied into nature. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about, and it kind of goes in the symbolism of nature kind of changing and doing out with the old world. I get that symbolism. Lots of religious symbolism. I'm not a religious guy, but apparently movies like their religious symbolism. That's fine. The Bible and other religious stories are some of the most recognizable stories ever, and if you're going to reference or, pay homage to a very recognizable story, it might as well be something out of the Bible, even though I'm not a religious person. I don't care if you are, I'm just not. Very story of Moses. I've actually noticed, after I sat and thought about this movie a lot, this has a lot of Exodus, Gods and Kings, or, Ten Commandments, Free My People, things going on. There's also a lot of concentration camp Nazi symbolism going on here. And that was tied into they kind of have the apes kind of on a slave and even working like, the Jews in Egypt kind of, and Caesar's kind of a Moses figure, and this might be a little spoilery, and I'm sorry, but, this whole free my people and lead to the promised land. I'm not going to say whether they make it to the promised land, but, it doesn't take 40 years in the desert or anything either. But that was really kind of a little heavy-handed. Is it a negative? No. I think it was fine. If you're going to do something like that, like a heavy-handed Moses symbolism, this is a good time to do it because it kind of is super fitting because Caesar is kind of their savior and he is getting them out of a horrible situation. I didn't mind it. Some people might think of it as a negative, and I'm not going to really argue that, but I did like it. I thought it was a positive, my own personal taste. I thought it was a nice touch. Now, with the constant religious symbolism in film, like constantly making Superman be Jesus, not a huge fan of that, but whatever. But that's neither here nor there. So I'm saying I don't always like the religious symbolism, but I felt like it worked in this. Anyways, I said the word religion way more than I usually do in my reviews, especially for Planet of the Apes. Reeves directed this movie really good. Trying to think of other things to say right now. Yeah, I guess I really liked it. I might have to rewatch this again. I really, really liked Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Rise, I really enjoyed too, but Dawn is really good, and I can't decide if I like this more than I like Dawn. Now, if you're asking me what I feel about the trilogy all in general, very huge success. From when the first movie came out, I didn't want to see it. I didn't give a shit. And then I saw it, and I was like, wow, that was a lot better than I thought it would be. And then I saw the second one, and I was like, wow, that was really good. And I saw it a couple times in theaters. And this one, pretty good. So I'm not saying it's like, the original Star Wars trilogy good or anything like that, but definitely good trilogy. So that was it. I can't think of anything really else to say. I think I discussed this enough. Said my negatives, said my positives, said my piece. So I'm going to give it my review between 0 and 10. And I'm giving it 7.5, 8 together strong out of 10. So there you go. 7.5. Not my favorite movie this summer, but honestly, it's been a really good summer, actually. Spider-Man was really good. I liked Guardians of the Galaxy 2 a lot. It's not my favorite. Wonder Woman, I really enjoyed. Wonder Woman was really good. If you saw our last review or 2 reviews ago, I really liked Baby Driver a lot. And Apes this week, really good too. And I'm excited for Dunkirk coming up. This is a really good summer, and I feel like we deserved it because last summer was kind of lackluster and it kind of sucked a lot. Besides, like, Doctor Strange and Civil War, last summer wasn't really that great. But this year is really kicking on. Logan, freaking Spider-Man, all the movies I already said. It's killing it. Oh, and Get Out was this year's still. It's been a really good year, and I'm excited to see more. Bye!